Welcome one and all to tonight's council meeting. I'll ask Councillor Linda to lead us in prayer. Don't forget to pray for rain, please.
Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for your blessing and favour upon tonight's meeting, and Father, all the decisions that are made. And Father, I just ask that that blessing and favour flow on to the residents and the owners of businesses within the Shire. And Father, while it is green outside, it is getting very dry. And Father, I just ask that the forecast rains on the weekend would bring soaking rain across the whole Shire. Father, 20 mil plus across the Shire. That's my order. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Thank you, Councillor Linda. Acknowledgement of country. I would like to acknowledge country, pay out my respects for both the elders past and present. Apologies and applications for leave of absence by councillors. Got one from
Parker.
Councillor Parker. Somebody care to move that
So
one?
moved, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Wilton.
I'll second.
Councillor Shield. All in favour? Those against? Declare it carried. Confirmation of minutes of the meeting in July. Councillor Meyer. Councillor Shield. Any corrections or comments? If not, I'll put the resolution. All in favour? Those against? Declare it carried. Action reports from the minutes. If you have questions, please quote the page and the number.
Now I have
Yes, Councillor O'Neill.
page 10 of 10. No, it can't be of 10. Yes, it is page 10. The voluntary planning agreement project allocation in regards Polcan, $150,000. I was going to bring a rescission motion in regards to that decision, but decided to have a, might say, in the action report. I think it might have been discussed at the workshop I wasn't at, but wondering whether, why we didn't have two quotes given for that contamination assessment. I understand, yes, that ARTC going to do the testing process, but as it's our money, why we didn't insist that there be two quotes done for it. I've read the report today from them, and you know, it does look good, but I thought our procurement policy made us get more than one quote for things like that. I'm wondering, because we already use some of that area as a community space, whether testing was ever done on that space being so close to the rail line anyway. And yeah, so has that ever been tested?
I'm very, Mr. Mayor, happy to respond to that. In regards to the procurement policy, it didn't apply to this situation because the ARTC that have provided us with the required expenditure to pay, they get the quotes, not us. So we can't ask them to meet our procurement policy, but them to tell us. That's what happens. So it's not like us getting a quote. They've said, if you want to undertake, this is how much it's going to be. The second one is in relation to the existing site. Obviously, that was done a few years ago, many years ago, I think, and probably at the stage it was one of those things at that time that no one was bothered to, or was never required, or at that time it was unknown. So it was just probably approved at that time.
Mm-hmm. And the other comment is that it seems to be a large area that they're going to do, and that, you know, perhaps if we're having a nice, friendly community space, that it's not going to be in the best of surroundings where you're looking at industrial buildings and.
Well, I guess I can only comment that in relation to the Coltan Community Development Committee on behalf of the community have requested that space.
And they have done a plan that indicates that's what they want. So I'm not quite sure why we're going down this rabbit hole.
Because apparently they were expecting an amendment to that motion last meeting.
Expecting an amendment?
Yes.
And what were they expecting?
Yeah. Well, I think it was, they were hoping that there was going to be something that did still include the Colcan cricket nets, but
clearing of that land, council, and it was presented through the Colcan CDC 2.5 years ago as part of their master plan. We've all seen it. It's what they had considerable consultation through the community, and that was the community's desire.
Any further questions on the action report? Not all in favour. Those against. Move on to any disclosures of interest. Disclosures of interest. I've got a mayoral minute, which you could all have read. I'll formally move it. I'll get a second.
I'll second that.
Second, Councillor Hicks. The idea of this for many, many years in the Georgie West area, this paddock's been grazed by all sorts of animals, but over the last 3 years, nobody's had animals to graze it, and council's had to slash it on a few occasions. And this year, council slashed it very early in January. It was a terrible hot day, and if they'd hit a rock, well, of course, you've got a fire. Young operators don't understand that that's what can happen, sort of thing. So these people have agreed to be caretakers if council so wishes to appoint them. So I'll formally move the recommendation. No objection, all in favour? Those against, declare it carried. Now we'll move on to the notice of motion submitted by Councillor O'Neill. Formally moving it.
Yes, I'm formally moving.
Got a second?
Yes.
Second, Councillor Wilt. Wish to speak?
No, I think it's explanatory, self-explanatory. There are issues that we had discussed beforehand about with our staffing at the moment, and has been for a while. And I guess I'd like to have some statistics to either diffuse or back up things that have been discussed.
Speakers against the motion?
Yeah, Mr. Mill, I believe it's an operational matter. If that information is required, there are other avenues that councillors can go down through the performance review panel, or simply book a meeting with the GM.
Further comments?
Yeah, I just find it a bit contradictory to what's actually in the Act. I'm a bit concerned about the sections that are quoted, and that, as quoted in the motion, that the sections 223 and 232 of the Local Government Act, we have a responsibility to be an active contributing member of governing body. We note that we have a responsibility to contribute to the control of council affairs and to review council performance. Well, in the Act, it actually says the way we are as role of a councillor, we are actually, yes, we contribute to the affairs and have responsibility on how the council is running, but it's through the community strategic plan and the what's the other plan? Sorry, just lost. Delivery plan is the way councillors can contribute, and we're mainly for policy and representing our ratepayers, and we are to facilitate communication between the community and the council. I don't think that describes that we just can't actually go on to perform our role if we don't have those statistics that have been requested. It just seems a very specific targeted area, and I think we have been performing without those specific statistics. And can I just check with the General Manager, have we been behind with presenting any of our reports as they're required through the Act? Or has that upset any of the functioning behind the scenes?
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
Further comments? If not,
Right to reply.
yeah, in a minute, I'll just make a comment. Councillor O'Neill, all my time in local government, I've been very conscious of the Local Government Act, and it outlines it very clearly that councillors are responsible for policy and finance. And these matters are all operational. I'm surprised councillors of long standing have moved this, but anyway, you've got the floor, Councillor O'Neill.
Yes, I guess this has never occurred where there seems to be a glut, say, of people leaving, going on leave, stress leave, just unhappiness, basically. And, you know, if you are personally contacted, I think that's part of the responsibility too, is to see that the operational things are happening and assisting the staff to be happy workers in that council.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. I'll put the resolution. Those in favour? Councillor Meyer, Councillor Wilton, Councillor O'Neill. Those against? I declare the motion lost. Move on to the part A, the environment and planning.
I'll move that recommendation.
Lead away commercial curbside collection. Been moved by Councillor Hicks, seconded by Councillor Linda. Comments?
Can I just ask, schools weren't mentioned there, so they would have had to have extra bins and knowing how many you see lined up on collection day outside the schools.
I'll just through this. I'm not sorry. The schools weren't connect because they weren't actually within that historical collection, which was just with the businesses. So there was actually a historical agreement with the collection with the businesses. So yeah, that's what's.
Yeah, I thought they might have, because I can't see how the schools are coping with it every second week bread in.
Yeah, we haven't had any comments come back from them, Councillor O'Neill.
Maybe they're doing very well recycling.
Yes, but we can always check.
Yeah.
Can I just add just one comment I have heard from a local school was they've actually paid for an extra bin and an extra lift to alleviate their rubbish, so that they've been proactive.
Any further?
Yes. I understand that Councillor Parker has made a comment regarding this and the bin arrangements for the sporting complex. And does it affect that? Is there enough bin capacity there? And how does it affect other sporting complexes across the Shire?
Happy to respond to you, Mr. Mayor. In relation to sporting clubs, it's up to sporting clubs to advise if they want extra bin lists or extra bins. They can actually arrange that to happen. A lot of clubs have skip bins, and that's what they mainly do with. But through other clubs, they can, because the trucks do come with, they can actually arrange for an extra bin list and bins to be separately picked up. So that happens, and that's what's been arranged.
Right. Well, Councillor Parker did send a letter in, I understand. So I hope she has been replied to. That's all.
I'm happy to follow that up.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll put the resolution. All in favour? Those against? Carried all the way. Number 2, the development application for the proposed stage development of a motel and manager's residence.
Well, I'll move the recommendation.
Second that.
Thank you by Councillor Hicks, seconded by Councillor Gill. Comments?
If I might, I think this is an interesting development in our town. It's the first real new motel in probably 50 years. I'm a bit disappointed with some of the commentary out in the public domain, which was perhaps a bit outrageous, really, because I do think that it's not going to be a big issue. if that were an issue, I think there would be problems out there now, and that's not the case, as I understand it.
I'll back up your comment, Councillor Wilton. I think today's journalism in the local paper is a terrible slur on public travellers. It's a built-up thing. I think this new motel will be fantastic. First new one, as you say, in many, many years. And we want the tourists through Holbrook. We want their dollar, and we don't hide from that fact. And I think, and it certainly ticks all the boxes.
Well, can I just make a further comment? I think that we can only judge these sort of development applications on what is allowable under the Local Government Act and the Developments Act. And we've got to, it's very strict, and we can't stray outside that area. It's just there, those other things are irrelevant. Whether we might like that or not, that's not our job, not our call. But I believe that this ticks all the boxes. I congratulate our officer who prepared the report. It's an excellent report, and I think it's covered everything in there. Yep.
Thanks, Councillor Wilton. Any further comments? Not, I'll put the resolution. Those in favour, those against, declare it carried all the way.
Oh, can I just make one other comment? I note here, Riverina water approval, and I've got an NV there. We don't want to get into a situation like we are in another place where Riverina Water has not been able to get water to that place. Hopefully this one will be okay. But I did note that that is needed. So hopefully the developers will.
Holbrook has got the capacity in Riverina water supply there, whereas
The others haven't.
there's no doubt in Walla, it's just not there.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yep, thank you.
Probably flicking the pages will all go out on the Zoom, but
It's a very lengthy report.
I'll have to get to page 52 there, Mr Mayor, before you find the next one.
the number 3 is a development application for the dwelling construction.
I'll move that recommendation.
I'll second that recommendation.
Been moved by Councillor Hicks and seconded by Councillor Linda. This one, we started this process 3 years ago and the minister approved it, but it still took a lot to get it to this stage. But it's a very thorough report. Any comments or questions?
No, I think it'll be wonderful that the family can go ahead and enjoy their
I'll put
lovely positions.
Put the recommendation. All in favour? Those against? Declare it carried.
Page 81 is the next.
Delegates of civic and ceremonial, mayoral functions and meeting dates in caretaker.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, second by Councillor Hicks. Any comments? Not all in favour? Those against? Carried all the way. The Walla Walla Solar Farm Committee report.
I'll move that recommendation.
Been moved by Councillor Linda.
Seconded.
Second, Councillor Forrest. Want to make it quite clear that while the solar farm originally gave 500,000 to the council, 200,000 to the community. Now the Walla community, some of them are skewing it a little bit sort of thing, and they're not too happy with the money spent on the hall, but we're going to do up the hall because we committed to that quite a while back. And anything left over goes to the swimming pool. By that time, it'll be all gone. At least there'll be two things in Walla done very smartly. I put the resolution. All in favour?
Sorry, can I just ask a question about the hall? Where are we up to with the thing up?
Well, that's what this is about, to get the
Yeah.
money to move forward.
Yeah, but have we got quotes on how much it's going to cost? Yes, we have, thank you.
Yes, I can respond to that. We do have quotes to start.
I'm just wondering through you, Mr Mayor, whether it would be the recommendations from the committee are those, but wondering whether now that we've got a dollar value, whether it would be prudent to be able to possibly put an amendment to this recommendation to put that dollar value in here to be able to assist the staff in progressing that project.
Certainly, I think council will tolerate that. We want the job to get on and be done with. So what's the dollar value of it?
What was the dollar value just through Sharon Foster's
Happy to move an amendment to that effect.
So it would just be an addition of a 0.3 as a suggestion. So that would just allow that to then potentially progress. So where do we end up with, Sharon? So it is quite a substantial amount. We're actually at the $340,000 mark, which is substantial, and I'm happy with the indulgence of council and the mayor to just perhaps outline that in high level as to where the predominant expenditure is.
How it's broken down.
Yes, we certainly can. We could include that in the resolution, if you like, as an amendment. So to get to the dollar value exclusive of GST. So we have rounded up slightly. It was 336 and some change, but 340 would do it. The substantial amounts of money are in the replacement of the ceiling and in the replacement of the floor itself. The ceiling is estimated at 75,000 because with the water egress that has now absorbed and been contaminated with mould, and so is now not salvageable and needs to be replaced. And the floor is now estimated at 115,000. And then really the major other components were around the brickworks, which is 15, and the mould removal, which is 18,000. And clearly there's other elements to that. And also the asbestos removal, which is another 12,000. So certainly we could include this breakdown in an amended, in a third point,
Well,
perhaps, the recommendation.
Would the mover and seconder of the recommendation agree to putting as part 3?
I just ask, oh, sorry, how much is the amount on the solar farms for that total?
So the allocation that council received was 500,000. And then there was a separate allocation that was the committees to prioritise projects.
Because you just said that the hall and then the pool, but the way it's listed here, it says in order, in the following order, and the pool's at the bottom.
So the order there is the hall, and then the balance to be allocated, because at that point we were talking to the committee about, if you pardon the pun, pooling the resources of council's allocation and the communities to get the best outcome for the projects. And that was the discussion and the resolution with the committee. Subsequent to that, we've got more information, but that recommendation would still stand. It would just simply mean that once the hall has been, we would be recommending this amount to be spent, and then the balance would go into the remaining funds for the community to go towards the playground and then pump track. And clearly through this process there will be more funds allocated, so obviously that's going to be expended quite quickly, but it's a long process with these agreements. So there will be more money potentially coming back.
In the recommendation, it sort of states that the hall will be fixed, so we can put that amount, and then there's the 3 points under there that's where the balance goes.
So I would,
If everybody's happy with incorporating.
Just before we go with that, I think it's probably prudent now to perhaps put in a 0.4 that on completion of the remedial works of the hall, that council consults with the Waller community to find an acceptable way forward for the future of the hall. Like to have something like that, if that's okay with the mover and seconder, to try and get some conversations out there about whether council maintains control of the hall or whether there's a community group there that may like to take it over once it's been repaired, and then they can look after it and operate businesses or whatever they want to do out of that. But I think we need to have this somewhere in the minutes that it's going to in the motion that we're going to continue to go down that track and look into it with consultation with the Walla community.
So, yes, so we, I think maybe we say 0.3 there, so that 320,000 be allocated. Because, no, you're all right with the rest of it, be allocated for the completion of the remedial works. And, now, what is this official time? Is it one in
That's the Walla. I think there's one you're repairing is the Walla Memorial Hall from memory.
Yeah, okay, we'll call it the Walla Memorial Hall.
There's two sections to the hall. There's the arts, isn't there? And then there's the memorial.
Always worse when people cheat. And then the point four, no, you're going up. It has been. And then point four on completion that council consult of the community on the future use of.
The future use or the future, let's say, the future ownership, shall we, of the hall.
Ownership and use.
Ownership and use. Look, it doesn't matter, I guess, whoever owns the hall can decide the use. What's that, sorry?
Leasing of the asset.
Correct. That's what I'm getting at. Yep.
Those words now, and then back to you, Mr. Mayor, satisfy the movement.
Yeah, well, that's might be as clear as mud to some people, but that indicates our concept of what should happen. Certainly, the Walla community have got to have a serious discussion because the young people tend not to want to use the hall. Once the hall's done up like this, though,
It'll come back on council.
And this could be the bit of a litmus test for the rest of the halls around the Shire. That sort of time that I think the communities make a decision where their focus is, whether it's at their sports ground facilities or whether it's at the local halls.
we've got a recommendation that's been moved in second. It's got 4 parts to it. I'll put it all in favour. All in favour. Those against, declare it carried. All the way again. On to the corporate and community services.
Who's the recommendation?
I've got an amendment for that.
Yes.
Thank you. This is a very messy business and it's cost us a lot of money. And I think that the general manager and the director of engineering services need to go back and spend the next few weeks sorting out how we really are going to deal with this. I don't think this is the way to go. I don't think we should be looking at using cash reserves. I would like them, the staff, to identify how we will move forward on that without costing us all this money.
Perhaps if I could clarify, and then we can clarify the words for the amendment. So at the moment, this has not cost council any money. What has occurred is that projects were completed, and they, through an administrative error, they weren't included in the eligibility. And so now, because they've been completed, they are deemed to be ineligible under the LRCI funding. What staff are recommending here is that the projects we can now complete and seek eligibility and approval for will replace those that have been spent. So under the deadlines and the guidelines we have, if council approves these and they approve them through the LRCI process, which we have every reason to believe they will be, that will simply mean that these projects have been allocated in place. So these projects were already going to be delivered using council funds, and these projects will replace projects that have been completed that are now under the guidelines and eligible. Obviously, we can put that amendment, and I will clarify that wording. If we are unable to get a resolution tonight, that will jeopardise our funding, because then we are unable to get a decision until the October meeting due to caretaker. and we have to be able to satisfy the federal government's funding agreements before that date. Otherwise, we do jeopardise the balance of the funding. So the reason for this report tonight and these recommendations was exactly what Councillor Wilton has said. The staff have sat down and worked out what projects we believe we can achieve within the timelines of the funding. That means that we're not disadvantaged in our budget or our unrestricted cash. So if you wish to move an amendment.
Well, I have.
Yep.
I have.
Sure. So perhaps if we can clarify the wording for the amendment, Councillor Wilton, perhaps if you could.
The General Manager and the Director of Engineering rework all this so that we will not be disadvantaged in the financial situation, and that they come up with some other projects. I think that the money that it's cost us on these projects, it's 1.115. We've had to fund that from somewhere. They were going to be, I'm getting strayed away from that, but they were going to be funded by the LRCIP funding, and that was going to cover the cost of it. Now, where's the cost going to be covered from for those projects that are already done and completed and we're in?
Well, just from what I've understanding from the GM, what she's just said there is that the projects that we're going to go for with the current LRCIP funding, which we're swapping out, would have been funded out of council reserves anyway. So all we're basically doing is swapping those projects around so that the projects that were funded by the LRCIP, which have become ineligible, will be covered by the budget considerations for the projects going forward. Now our opportunity is that we will then put those projects we haven't started forward for the current LRCIP funding, which would basically mean that there's no difference to the council cash situation. It's just simply changing shifting the chess pieces around, which to me, I can quite clearly understand that. It doesn't appear to me to be anything untoward or any mistakes have been made. Evidently, the GM and the engineer have sat down already and came up with this plan, and I don't think rehashing it's going to make much difference to the outcome. I think we'll come back in October with the same outcome. However, we'll miss the funding time frame, and then yes, it will then cost us some money. So for me, I think we're best just to press ahead with the plan, and it'll all work out in the wash.
Can I make a comment, please? I thought that under the guidelines with these grant funding, that you can't apply for something that you already have in your budget, a delivery plan, and all these things in table 2 substitute projects are listed in our current budget, aren't they, or upcoming one? Yep.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to say that, yeah, they are in our budget, but I don't believe it's not a requirement of our CIP program in that relationship. This program.
The bottom line, fellow councillors, is that there was some paperwork missed back last February, and we started the projects. And this has happened right across the state. I talked to the federal minister less than a week ago, and there was no mercy given. That was the way the project should have gone. But the offer is now that if we go ahead with this, those jobs have already been done. The $600,000 culvert going out to Henty Field Day has been done, and that's what it's been paid out of that other way. But we can get this money and spend it on these projects, providing we agreed tonight. Leave it till October or November. Christy McBain's book's closed. So
We better vote on this amendment then.
We need a mover and a seconder for the amendment through you, Mr. Mayor.
I move.
I'll second the amendment to get things moving.
Yeah. So we've got a second mover and a seconder, Councillor Wilton, and that's excellent.
Right. Further speakers for the amendment or the motion? Are you all clear? The amendment is to hold things over, and the motion says we go ahead with the projects in front of us. I'll put the amendment first. Those in favour? Councillor Meyer, Councillor Wilton, Councillor O'Neill. Those against? Those in favour of the motion? Those against? Councillor Moore.
We'll just, yeah, we'll just slow down
Might
slightly.
tidy that up.
For the minute taker. So the
Second meeting for the minute taker, so.
yes, that's exactly right.
Great.
So we have, in favour of the amendment was Meyer, Wilton and O'Neill, and the balance councillors were against. And then we go back to the resolution. Did we have a?
I don't think anyone moved the resolution.
I was just gonna ask that.
No, I think we did. I'm pretty sure I moved the resolution, and was it Ash that seconded, or was it?
Okay, so we just, thank you for the clarification. So we have a mover and a second for the original recommendation. And so now I think we've brought up just about. Thank you for your patience.
Clear to move on?
Just hang on 2 secs, we'll just make sure that it's.
So did we, in recording the resolution, there was the recommendation, have we got those against? So against that, officer's recommendation is Meyer, Wilton and O'Neill, is that correct?
Yes.
Beautiful, okay, I think we're good. Yep, we're good to move on, thank you.
They're all.
Yeah, we've got them listed, we'll check them. Yeah, yeah.
We'll move on to the Holbrook flood mitigation
So
project.
moved.
So seconded.
Milton,
Question?
Councillor Wyatt, yep.
The contract is 3.36, sorry, 3.6 or thereabout. We've received funding for about 4.3 or 4.5. So where's that other money going or gone to?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, obviously in relation to this project management costs associated with a project management, and there's a few $100,000 there. Plus, there obviously is a 10%, not 10%, a 5% contingency built in as well. That's not been, that is not part of this part of the contract, but a buffering amount if something occurs there. So that's what makes a difference.
Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Great to see the project about to start. I'll put the resolution. All in favour? Those against?
14 years.
Never run again.
That's it, that'll cause a drought. As soon as you start doing earthworks like that.
We move on to the second item, provision of footpaths, Belfast Street,
With the
Colton.
recommendation.
Moved by Councillor Forrest, seconded by Councillor Shield. Any questions?
Yeah, just a question for the Director of Engineering. So these are now under the revised policy for the curb and drainage. Absolutely. Thank you.
Further questions? I'll put the resolution. All in favour? Those against? We're carried all the way. Next one is might be a duplicate, is it?
No.
That's right. It's Urban Channel this time, yeah. A double whammy for those people.
No, other than that.
All right.
I'll move the recommendation.
I'll second it.
Councillor O'Neill, seconded by Councillor Hicks. Any questions?
Long street.
Well, I'll put the resolution. All in favour? Those against? It's carried. Some more curb and guttering. It's now in Gindra though.
Yeah, I'll move that recommendation. I'll second it.
Moved by Councillor Hicks, seconded by Councillor Linder. Any questions? If not, all in favour? Those against? Declare it carried. Development proposed road name,
Yeah, I'll move that recommendation also.
Heritage Park, Gindra.
Seconded, Mr Chair.
You second, Councillor Wilton.
Yes.
Those names are going back a long way.
They
It
are.
was a very interesting history read with the
No comments. I'll put the resolution. All in favour? Those against? Declare it carried. And of shared footpath, Urana Road, Murrumbuck.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councillor Linder, seconded by Councillor Hicks. Any questions or comments?
Just under the budget implication, we've got 2023-24 operational plan. So isn't 24-25?
recommend carried forward, correct?
I think it was.
It was. Yeah, I'll let it go.
Very good. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, those against, declare it carried. We move on to items for closed council. General managers,
Move the recommendation.
Seconded.
all in favour? And we've got quite a few actually that we go into. Closed committee will deal with the next one,
I'll move that as well to go into closed.
and water rates. Can we have the next one as well? Councillor Hicks,
Yep,
enforcement.
move that also.
Acquisition of land. You'll move the three of those going to.
Yeah, all in one go.
Second by councillor Shield. All in favour? Those against, declare it carried. Move on to the officer's report, part B.
I'll move part B, C and D.
Seconded.
The block.
Moved by councillor Hicks, seconded by councillor Forrest. Questions?
There's just one little one in the annexure 14 in regards to the delivery operational plan where the traffic lights are. It was under growth and prosperity to do with G 1.2.6. It was just a little number 2, stage 2 was missed. It just had like Jacob Wenke Drive, Jacob Wenke stage, and then stage 3, but it didn't indicate that it was stage 2. That was also, the number wasn't there, that's all. It was just a little type missed. But it just,
Any further comments or questions?
anything.
Well, I'll put the resolution. All in favour? Those against? Declare it carries. Well, we're ready to move into committee as a
I
whole.
think we are, yes, we just need a resolution.
Somebody care?
I'll move that. Go into
Yeah,
closed council.
Committee as a whole. Councillor Hicks, councillor Linda, all in favour? Declare it carries.
We just need to stop the.
Stop the recording.
Thank you for your attendance.
Members, everyone.
What?